The Jedi series following fan favorite character Cal Kestis is coming to an end. Aww. But the story of Cal has only just begun.
Oh my God! Okay, it's happening. Everybody stay calm. What's the procedure, everyone? What's the procedure? Stay calm!
Yesterday, EA, the company that brought us Jedi Fallen Order and Jedi Survivor, and of course,
EA Sports. It's in the game.
Had their Investors Day event. This is where they gave updates for all the games they've been working on and told their investors how successful their projects have been in the recent past. And we learned quite a bit at this Investors Day event about the next installment in the Jedi series, Jedi 3, and some insane stats about the first two games. Since Jedi Fallen Order released in 2019, followed by Jedi Survivor in 2023, this gaming franchise has made over $5 billion. And over 40 million people have played these two games. And those numbers are only going to climb because as of yesterday, you can now play Jedi Survivor on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One consoles. Before, it was exclusively only on the new generation of consoles, PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X. However, although all that is cool, the biggest news to come out of this Investors Day event yesterday was when Lauren Mealy, the president of EA Entertainment and Technology, said this. Respawn is working hard to bring the final chapter of this thrilling story to players, confirming that not only is Jedi 3 currently in development over at Respawn and EA, but this third installment will be the end of this game series. Which makes sense for a few reasons. This would be the third installment of the Jedi series, making it a Jedi trilogy, and if we know one thing about Star Wars, it's that it works in trilogies, but also because there's a possibility that these characters of Cal Kestis, Merrin, and others could make their way to live action. And just because the arc of Cal Kestis is ending in video game form doesn't mean his character has to come to an end. The likelihood of Cal Kestis, this fan favorite character, dying in the third installment of his own series is very, very low. And you guys know I'm all about predicting characters' deaths. I actually don't think that Cal Kestis will die for quite some time. There's a very high likelihood that Cal Kestis and friends are coming to live action very soon. And Lucasfilm has planned this out from the beginning when they cast Cameron Monaghan as Cal Kestis. Cameron is a very well-known actor in Hollywood, probably most known for his role in Shameless, but honestly he's really underrated as the Joker in Gotham. But not only is Cameron just the voice of Cal Kestis looks exactly like him, most likely because this character will be coming to live action at some point sometime soon. Now the question becomes when, where, and why will Cal Kestis come into live action? There's a few different projects on the horizon that Cal Kestis could appear in, but it's also highly possible that he could be getting his own show. But we'll get to that in a second. The first place that Cal Kestis could show up in live action would be Skeleton Crew, which comes out in less than 3 months. We know very little about this upcoming show. We know it takes place in the Mando time period after Ahsoka. We know that John Watts is creating the show with executive producer Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni. And John Watts is the guy who brought us Spider-Man Homecoming, Far From Home, and No Way Home. We know that Jude Law will be in the show with the main cast of 4 little teenage kids. But that's about it. And with this show only being 3 months away, the little we know leads me to believe that there's going to be many surprises coming our way with the Skeleton Crew. One of those surprises could very well be Cal Kestis making his first ever live action appearance. Because The Mandalorian is a fan favorite show, the Book of Boba Fett had Boba Fett attached to it, Ahsoka had Ahsoka attached to it, along with bringing all the Rebels crew into live action. All those shows already have hype behind them before they released. When it comes to Skeleton Crew, there's none of that. So something has to happen in this upcoming show that draws fans' attention to the show. And what would be a better thing to draw attention than Cal Kestis' first live-action appearance in Star Wars? Now, after Skeleton Crew, Andor Season 2 is set to release in early 2025. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say Cal Kestis is most likely not going to be in Andor Season 2, but hey, never say never. The next 2 most likely projects also exist in the Mando-Verse, and that is the Mandalorian and Grogu movie and Ahsoka Season 2. So with the Mandalorian and Grogu movie, it is a movie, so you'd be able to bring Cameron Monaghan into live action as Cal Kestis on the biggest screen possible. And to fans who played through the Jedi games, it would be a pleasant surprise to see Cal Kestis in live action in the Mandalorian and Grogu movie. But for me, I think the most likely place for Cal Kestis to show up in live action for the first time is Ahsoka Season 2. Not only because Ahsoka and Cal are both Jedi who survived Order 66, but because Ahsoka Season 1 already introduced us to some new Jedi-ish characters, with Baylan Skoll and Shin Hati. These two characters, although they became quickly fan-favorite characters, are sort of the villains of Ahsoka Season 1. Baylan was a Jedi who survived Order 66, but he's since left the Jedi Order. And it seems like Baylan Skoll is very similar to a Cal Kestis type of character, because in Jedi Survivor, Cal is really tapping into the dark side of the Force. And depending on how this third installment in the franchise goes, he could continue to go down that dark path and end up being a Baylan Skoll type of character, which would make Ahsoka Season 2 the perfect place for him to appear for the first time in live action. However, there is one huge problem with bringing Cal Kestis into live action in the Mando-Verse time period, and that is Cameron Monaghan's age. Because by the time of the Mando-Verse, or after the original trilogy, Cal Kestis would be around 40 years old. And right now, Cameron Monaghan is 31. Now, it's not that crazy of a difference. They could make him look a little bit older, but I think there's an opportunity here to do something very cool that fans don't expect. And that is a Cal Kestis solo show that would take place in the time period of the original trilogy. The original trilogy in Star Wars is iconic. We know the characters of Luke, Leia, Han, Chewie, Lando. They are all the heroes of that story. They're fighting against the evil Empire with Vader and Palpatine, but there are other things going on in the galaxy at that time, and there are other characters that we know and love that exist at that time. From Ahsoka Tano to the Rebels crew to Din Djarin to Grogu to even, hopefully, Cal Kestis. And it would make perfect sense to explain where Cal Kestis has been for all these years in between the Jedi games and the Mando-Verse with his own spin-off show. This would allow Cameron Monaghan to be the exact age he's supposed to be, playing Cal Kestis in this time frame, and then eventually he can appear in the Mando-Verse. A Cal Kestis spin-off show would also make sense because there's only 3 more live-action Star Wars shows set to release: Skeleton Crew, Andor Season 2, and Ahsoka Season 2. After that, there is nothing on the docket for live-action Star Wars content. And they're not just going to stop making live-action Star Wars shows on Disney+. So at some point, sometime soon, there's going to be an announcement for a new live-action show. And how cool would it be if that live-action show was about Cal Kestis? Now, as cool as a Cal Kestis show is and would be, let's talk about Jedi 3, what this game could be about, and when it will release. The last installment in this franchise, Jedi Survivor, left us with Cal Kestis on Tanalorr, this hidden planet or safe haven for Jedi who are trying to escape the Empire. And not only that, he kind of just adopted a daughter. Playing as Cal Kestis in Jedi Survivor, you actually kill the villain, Bode. But Bode is just trying to protect his daughter. So now his daughter has no father because you killed him. Or I guess Cal killed him? But you're playing as Cal, so you killed him. Right? Either way, Cal has sort of adopted this girl to be his own. So it's likely in Jedi 3, you will have some sort of apprentice with this girl at your side. Now, who the villain's going to be in this third installment, we have no idea. What the main story is going to be about, we really have no idea, because Jedi Fallen Order to Jedi Survivor are 2 completely different stories. One having to do with the Zepho and the Inquisitors, and the other one having to do with the High Republic. But when it comes to a release date, we can make an educated guess. Like I mentioned earlier in this video, Jedi Fallen Order released in 2019, and Jedi Survivor released in 2023. 4 years apart. If that pattern was to continue, then Jedi 3 would release in 2027. And I think 2027 is probably your best bet. Because first of all, you don't want them to rush this game. You want it to be a really good story and really good gameplay. The upgrade from Jedi Fallen Order to Jedi Survivor was insane. And if they go on another insane upgrade from Jedi Survivor to Jedi 3, this game has the possibility of going down as one of the greatest Star Wars games of all time. But 2027 also makes sense because 2025 is way too soon, and 2026 is a jam-packed year for Star Wars content. Not only is the highly anticipated Ahsoka Season 2 releasing in 2026, but there are 2 Star Wars movies releasing in 2026. The Mandalorian and Grogu on May 22nd, and a quote-unquote untitled Star Wars film in December of 2026. But that is most likely going to be the Rey movie. So 2026 is already a pretty packed year when it comes to Star Wars content, and that's all the stuff we know that's coming out in 2026. There could be an animated show by then, or even some other smaller projects like Rebuild the Galaxy Season 2. So the most likely place for Jedi 3 to release is in 2027, which is still until at least 2.5 years from now. And that third installment will be the end of that franchise. Now, of course, it won't be the end of Star Wars video games, as currently there is Star Wars Eclipse in the works somewhere out there, and Knights of the Old Republic remake as well. But fans of Cal Kestis and these Jedi games might be a little bit disappointed to hear that this third installment will be the final one. But the good news is, it's definitely not the end of Cal Kestis. But tell me what you think in the comment section below. Do you want a Cal Kestis spin-off show? And are you excited for Jedi 3? And what do you think Jedi 3 will be about? Tell me what you think in the comments below. And did you know that Disney is getting sued for using Tarkin in Rogue One? Well, I explain all of it in this video right here.